If you feel like your bond with your partner is thinning, if your friendships feel okay, but not very deep, if there's a quiet sense that people know parts of you but don't know the real you, then lean in, because in this episode, I talk about a stupidly simple yet uneasy way to establish deeper connections with people around you, including in your marriage, partnership, relationship. And no, this is not about chemistry. This is not about making extra effort. It's not even about communication tips and tricks, which can be handy at times. I have other episodes for that. No. Today, we are talking about something much more basic, but also much more threatening. Hi there. If this is your first time here, welcome to the Parenthood and Relationship Podcast. I'm your host, Markela Kaplani, a psychologist, a parenthood and relationship coach, and a parent myself. Together, we explore the transformative journey of parenthood and its profound impact on our relationship with ourselves, our partners, and our children, so that we can be present and show up as we envision without having to do more. Let's get into today's episode. Now, I want to say something up front. This is not just another video where you hear the just be yourself speech. You don't need another quote, another mantra, another Instagram caption to convince you that being authentic is a good thing. Most of us already want to show up as our authentic selves. We just don't feel safe enough to do it. What I want to share with you today is a story, something that came to me after years of therapeutic work. And my hope is that it will provide you with that click that you need in order to permit yourself to start showing parts of you that you tend to hide from the world. Because the way we tend to go about trying to connect with people seems to be counterintuitive. So, here's the thing. Over the years in my practice, I have worked with several different types of people, different personalities, different values, different ways of seeing the world. And in total honesty, there are clients who, if I met in real life, we would have really clicked. We could have been such close friends. And then again, just as frankly, there are others who I know I would have never chosen to hang out with in personal life. Not because there's something wrong with them, but just out of pure chemistry, just because it's obvious that we wouldn't really match. And yet, at some point, I realized that I love all my clients just as much, that I care about all of them just as deeply. Now, let me take a beat here, because I don't want this to sound like I'm trying to elevate myself. I don't think I'm anything special, and I believe that it is the therapist's job, it's part of what we do, to care about our clients and to do our best in order to help them in their mental and emotional health journey. That is something I would do anyway. That has always been my agenda. I am also not saying that I am particularly virtuous or enlightened. That's not for me to judge. The reason I am sharing this with you today is because I was surprised. This is not something that I intended. As a therapist, I have to care about my clients, but I don't have to love them. So in a way, this was a shock. And it got me wondering, how can this be true? How can I feel genuine affection even for those that I know I wouldn't choose as friends? How can they even compare with those that I naturally resonate with? Because I'm a therapist, but I'm also human. And the answer had nothing to do with me. What it did have to do with was the setting. And this is what I want you to keep. In the therapy room, people come bare. They are not performing. They are not optimizing. For the most part, at least, they are not trying to be impressive or likable or accepted. Not after we have peeled some of the layers, after we've established a strong relationship. They come scared, confused, ashamed, grieving things that they never said out loud. They come to me speaking from the place that is underneath the personality that everyone else sees, underneath the coping strategies, underneath the story that they share of this is who I am. They show me their fear of being too much or too little. They admit thoughts that they judge themselves for having. They talk about needs that they were taught were wrong. And when someone is there, I mean fully there, not edited or armored, not defended, there is something almost inevitable that happens. You don't evaluate them. You don't compare them. You don't decide whether you like them or not. You just connect. They become magnetic in their vulnerability. In essence, what we tend to call connection problems are actually exposure problems. Not exposure in the sense of oversharing or trauma dumping, not emotional exhibitionism, but exposure in the sense of letting someone see the parts of you that up until now you've been convinced would make them pull away. Most of us crave connection. We want to feel seen and understood. And yet, what do? We hide. We hide because we think that certain parts of us will make us less lovable, less likable, that the connection will decrease, the respect will disappear, the attraction will fade. So what we end up doing is we manage and we curate. We show a version of ourselves that feels the safest. We control our image. And then we wonder why connection feels so thin. And then we cry over not feeling understood or heard or seen. I see this paradox over and over again. The very thing that you are hiding is the doorway to the depth that you are craving. And that self that you think would be rejected is the self that people would actually fall in love with. Not because it's pretty, but because it is real. And that is where the beauty lies. Now, of course, there are caveats. I do want to be very clear here. This is not an invitation to abandon all boundaries. It's not an invitation to fall into the arms of someone who has shown you that they're unavailable and demand intimacy when they don't even deserve it. This is not about collapsing into vulnerability without containment. Safety, context, timing, all of these still matter. But hiding your inner world entirely and then blaming others for the lack of closeness, that is also a quiet form of self-abandonment. In romantic relationships, this often shows up as resentment. He doesn't understand me. She doesn't see me and all my efforts. I feel so alone in this relationship. These are things that I hear again and again and again in my therapy room. And interestingly, when I gently ask, where and when did you stop letting yourself be seen? There is always this specific moment, a time when it felt safer to pull back, to become more acceptable. So here is what I want to leave you with and why I am sharing this in the first place. Connection doesn't deepen because you become better at relating. It deepens because you become more available to be known. Not all at once, not to everyone, but just more honestly than before. If you've been wondering why closeness feels harder than it should, why love feels conditional, why friendships don't quite reach that place that you want them to, it's probably not because you are too much or too little or too complicated, too loud, too broken. It may simply be because there are parts of you that you have never allowed in the room. Love isn't a feeling first. It is a response. And in order to get a response, we need exposure. We need stimulus. In therapy, I don't love my clients because I have to, or because I know their hobbies, their values, their personality type. I love them because they have allowed me, they've given me the privilege of being in contact with their softer side, with their fear of being rejected, with their shame about being too much, their grief over not being chosen, their tenderness when they stop performing. That contact makes love almost automatic. And you may be looking at the relationships in your life and saying, well, people depend on me. I have people that admire me, that feel safe enough with me, that want me around. But you can have all that without truly feeling loved, without truly feeling that they know you, the real you, all parts of you, and that they would still love you if they did. People cannot love or know parts that they have never encountered. So keep this in mind. When you voluntarily keep parts of you hidden, parts that you think would disqualify you in the eyes of others, you don't protect love or connection. You actually limit it. You reinforce superficial relationships. People cannot connect with parts of you that they've never been allowed to see. So I hope that this video inspires you to let a layer go, to trust that you are lovable just as you are, to know that you are more magnetic when you are you. And if what you heard today makes sense, but you worry that it's a bit tricky, if you worry that I want deeper connection, but I'm afraid that in this longing, I might end up in the other extreme. I may start dumping everything and scare them away, or I might say the wrong thing and hurt the people I love. Then episode 66 is the missing piece. In that episode, I break down what actually happens inside us, what we think and feel before we speak. The protective reactions, that tightening, the stories we tell ourselves, and how to slow that moment down so that what comes out is our truth, not our defenses. Because to be seen doesn't mean to react more. It doesn't even mean to become louder. In fact, it requires of us to be softer. It means letting parts of us speak without the armor. If you're watching this on YouTube, you are probably already seeing a video pop up next to me, above me, wherever, so that you can click and watch episode 66 right now. But if you're listening on a podcast platform, I am also making sure to put the link in the description below so that you can easily access it. Until next time, be magnetic. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.